Because even though there was some significant failures, right? And they didn't make it to a certain place, you've taken even all of that as the baggage that was handed to you, right? Negative, positive, indifferent, all of that baggage that was handed to you, however it was given to you, you've used it even through suffering to create a positive response in some areas.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Deep MCs, the podcast that seeks to push meaningful conversation to a whole new level. Whether it's for your entertainment or your personal growth, we appreciate you being here today. And now, on to the show. What's going on, man?
What's up, bro?
What's going on? Hey, living the dream. You know what? I have not worn the blue shirt in a long time, and I decided to throw it on for this episode.
Okay.
Also, matches my blue watch.
Here we
G-Shock. GAB 2100. Shout out G-Shock.
Yeah.
Pay the bills,
Yeah.
please.
Please. Pay the
I'm
bills.
struggling over here. All right, you see what I'm doing for you guys. You guys gave me this game. Well, you know, whatever. I got this. Anyway, neither here nor there. What are we getting into today? what are we getting into today?
So, man, we are discussing today kind of a personal thing. Are we our own person, or are we really a combination of our parents?
That is very personal. That is very personal, and I think that is a hard question to answer. You know, for me, I would say growing up, for the longest time, I thought that I was my own person.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways,
Right.
You know, I think though, as I get older and continue to grow as a person, I really find out I'm more of my parents than I realize,
Or even really care to admit.
or care to admit.
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what side of me you know,
Right.
is a good or bad thing. You know, I don't know. It's sad.
I think that, so the skinny for me, the answer for me is now realizing at my age, the answer is yes, right? To both of them. I think you are your own person.
Right.
But then you are definitely also a combination of those individuals.
Right.
And I spent when I was younger, I spent quite a bit of time trying to be different than my dad. Like, you know, so when I got to this age, I wanted to be somebody completely different than who he was, because I felt like what he was doing was just something that was not beneficial, right? You know, as a husband and as a father and all of those kind of things, right? And so I was like, man, I'm not gonna be like that dude. You know, people say, oh, you're gonna look just like your daddy, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna look like that dude. Not gonna look like that dude, not gonna act like that dude. You know, I don't want to ever be like that dude. I mean, you know, he provided and all those kind of things. Love my dad. But when I was younger, it was just like, no, but I don't want to do that. Right?
Don't want to do it.
And now I sound like that dude. I laugh like that dude. My smile is the same. My sarcasm is very close.
Yeah.
You know, and now I don't regret it now at this point, because again, it's molded me into who I am. But I'm my own person as well, right?
Right.
Because life experiences have still taught me that are different than his. His life experiences took him down a path, took my mom down a path, right? That then I have different layers that then add on to that, right?
Yeah.
So my short answer, and we'll probably get into a longer answer, but my short answer is yes to both of them.
Yeah. I would like to be able to say yes to both of them, but I don't know, man. It's hard, because I feel like every time I think something is uniquely me, I see it in my parents, in one of them. in one of them, right?
In the exact same way?
I mean, it's not the exact same because situationally it's different.
Okay.
But there's a lot of things. So for me, like, I guess internally, mechanically, whatever you want to call it, right? So like my father definitely had a lot of depression.
Okay.
Right. And then I have a lot of depression, right? You know, the way that he would cope with a lot of things we had to pass, like, you know, his addictions and the demons that he fought, the things that he would cope with, I didn't necessarily cope in those same ways, but I still turned to coping mechanisms, right? So
I got you.
You know, I was never really a smoker, but I was a pill person.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
You know, drinking. Oh, we both went hard in the paint. When we talk about drinking, right? So I would drink heavily, and I did a ton of pills.
Okay.
A lot of pills. So like, that's, who am I to say like one is better than the other, right? But that's how I dealt with those things too. Or, you know, internalizing. Both my parents internalized a lot, right? Part of it because, you know, like we talk about, like in the Mask series, it was keeping a certain perception, but also we just didn't know how to process a lot of those things. So I internalized those things, and it's weird because I don't want to say I subconsciously saw it or whatever. I don't know, because like if someone's internalizing something and pretending like everything is okay, the outward appearance is everything is okay. And a lot of things I didn't find out till later on in life, but I still realize and see somehow that you just internalize what's bothering you in a lot of ways, whatever. I don't know. Tempers, same, like both my parents generally can control their temper, but then when it's lost. It's never like a gradual.
Okay. It's a flip of the switch.
Yeah, it's never like I'm starting to get mad.
Okay.
I'm starting to get mad. You know, it's like completely fine, and then now it's like, fuck you, I'm putting you through a wall.
I got
right?
you.
Same thing. same thing, right? So different triggers.
Okay.
Do you know? So I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of things that I see as I go down on and on, all these internal factors that I go through. I realize that I share a lot of the same things with them, right? And then you talk about, well, hobbies or this or that, or, you know, people always ask me, or not ask me, or they'll make a comment on something like, oh, I didn't know you know certain knowledge about this, or I didn't know you knew this, or like whatever. And honestly, first of all, I still stand by I'm dumb as fuck. Like I don't know a lot about anything. I know a little bit about a lot of things. A little bit. I'm not a professional in anything. Don't ask me anything in depth about anything because I can't give you detail. I can't. What I can do,
yes, you can.
Is, I mean, maybe on a couple things, but like there's a lot of things that I've done. And so even then, like I talk about my father. So my father, I had a weird relationship with my father.
Yep.
Right. He was around, but never around.
Okay.
He was, and we'll do another episode about relationships at some point in time, but he was never in the house. But because we're in the same city, you interact, or because there were certain times where we had to cross paths because there was no other way to, or because maybe there was a sober moment where he needed help with something, if you will. Yeah. And then I'd be there. And so, but there's very few interactions that were positive. But then I remember things like we had this one property that we had to go work on. And, you know, during the summer, you have AC issues, you have cooler issues, you have all these things that happen, right? We know when it gets hot, whatever. And back then you'd have I don't know what they're called because I'm not an expert, right? The swamp coolers. We got to put the water in the bottom. You know what I'm saying? It's like a big box. You put the water in the bottom and it pumps water up. Then it has the internal, it's like a big turbine.
You got me on that one, buddy.
Okay. I don't know. I believe they're swamp coolers. Look it up. I believe that's what they're called. And so basically inside was like The inside looked like a box fan.
Okay.
Right. But it's connected to a big box that would be outside. It looked like an air handler would.
Okay.
And you have to make sure that there's water in it, and there's a pump and a circle that's whatever, neither here nor there. Anyway, I believe it's called Swamp Cooler. And it had fittings and, you know, copper wires and stuff like that. So here I am at an early age with him, because he's either incapacitated or whatever. And he's teaching me how to, like, this is how you flare a copper pipe, and this is how you put fittings on, and you got to connect this on, and whatever. That's the stuff that he did, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I learned things like that.
Yeah.
And people will see that and be like, oh, this guy's so knowledgeable. Like, no, this is shit I was doing when I was like fucking 6.
Yeah, I
I
got
was 5.
Yep.
You know, I should be out riding bikes and playing games and freeze tag. Instead, I'm here fucking flaring copper pipe.
I guess.
You got to make sure it's the right size and make sure, you know. But just little things like that, right? And so as I progress, and these are things that I picked up that I'm learning from him or learning from my mother,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's who I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I say, well, yeah, I am my own person, but everything that I am was based upon my learned experiences with them.
But you've created different dynamics now as an adult, though. All of them aren't. Yeah, so maybe some of them may have, you know, they may have the catalyst for them all may have been them. But I think to say that it's only them at this point, it takes away your self responsibility.
I don't know though. I don't know if it does. Right? Because I don't know, right? You talked before about the tool shed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything's in the tool shed.
Mm-hmm.
Your father's tool shed was your father's tool shed.
Right.
He had all the tools
Right.
that are there, but those tools are non-existent if it isn't for him. Like, the reason you get to go to that shed is because of him. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
his
I got
shed,
you.
right?
Uh-huh.
So I feel I was given all of these tools that are them, an extension of them. And yeah, like, obviously, like I said, situationally it's different, and it's still kind of them. Like, it's not how, it may not be how they, like, situationally, something that may set them off and create that temper may not set me off,
Right.
create that temper.
Mm-hmm.
But
You
I'm
still have a temper.
I still have a temper, and I'm still using a tool that would allow me to deal with that situation that comes from them. Like, I can still change it situationally, but it's still them in a way. I don't know.
I mean, I think what makes it a bit different though is, so yes, I'm a combination of Brenda and Aaron, but that's what makes it different too. Is
Right.
that I'm a combination of the two of them.
Two of them, yeah.
Right. And so yes, now I'm this weird mix, right? I'm this mutt, for no other better reason, right? Of these two individuals who had their positives and had their negatives, right? And so yes, I, you know, on some days I may, you know, operate like my mom in certain situations. I know I do. Like with like conflict resolution. I'm more like my mom than I ever was like my dad, right? When it comes down to reasoning, I'm more like my dad, you know. But at the end of the day, I'm still a mix of that, along with these other experiences that I've added now to it, right? Because I saw how my dad was with me. There's experiences that then change. I began to create new experiences, right? And I don't do it the way that they did it.
Right.
So with marriage, or with as a father, any of those other kind of things, right? Or even as a professional, you know, I went to college and I did these things, and I did it in a different way than what they did, you know. And so yes, there's some tools that they opened up to me, right? But then there's also some tools that I've picked up that I said, okay, you only gave me a hammer and nails, but that doesn't help me when I need to take a bolt off. So I need to go get a wrench, right? I need to go get a vice grip, or I need to go get, you know, a plier or something else.
Yeah.
You know, and so I've learned some other tools in addition to what they gave me that are still helping me, making me different in that regard.
Yeah, and I don't know, but I guess but then I look at that, and even for myself, and I say, okay, well, yeah, like you say you get the new tools, or I get the new tools, but who taught you how to go to the store and buy the tools? Who taught you, hey, if this isn't working, you should look for, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's always, and that's for me, I guess, where I struggle a lot of the times is because I look at it from the standpoint of like that it's still all a learned experience. Like, yeah, I can still change the direction of how a situation would go, but I still learned the initial learning of the deal. Like, so we can let's just see if we can make this simple. Okay, so if I'm gonna walk up to someone and they're gonna punch me in the face, right? Okay.
This is about to be simple.
Yes.
Okay.
I can walk up.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know. This is the first thing that popped in my head. You know, we just make it up as we go. So I walk up to someone and I know they're gonna punch me in the face. So first of all, they're gonna punch me in the face. My reaction to that is a learned experience, right? If I'm taught to turn the other cheek, or if I'm taught to knock this fucking person's teeth out, or whatever, that's a learned experience. And I may react from that learned experience. But then at the same time, if I walk up to them again, they punch me in the face. If I know the punch is coming this time, I may be able to pivot, but I'm going to pivot to a learned experience.
Okay.
Right? And that, you know, it's the same thing like you say if you're learning self-defense, right? And now I walk up to this person, I know the punch is coming, I can anticipate that. My reaction, now that I'm trained, is a learned experience, right?
Okay.
But that experience that I learned is still, the basis still comes from them. The basis still comes from one of them, you know? And even though, like, yes, now I'm in a different situation, I'm dealing with it differently, you know, whatever it may be, something about that, if it's okay, well, yeah, you may come against adversity, but you need to learn how to rise above. You may come against adversity, well, you need to find ways to deal with that. That's things that I'm learning from them, or I have learned from them and seeing what they do. I don't know if that makes sense, but yes, it's different for me. They're not dealing with that same person punching me in the face. They may not have went to that karate class. Well, at that point, my mom, when I was young, she did sign me up for some karate classes. So, but without her,
okay,
right? You know what I'm saying? So even though she was preparing me in case I have to knock a bitch's teeth out, she ain't never do it.
Okay.
But because of her, I can do it. And I fought very well. I fought for a long time. I had a lot of trophies that I threw away. My sister was saying, why are you throwing away your trophies? I keep all of my sons. I said, I don't want them. Whatever. Neither here nor there. But that's because of her.
Okay.
She didn't know karate. She didn't know taekwondo or jiu-jitsu or whatever. But from her learned experiences, she's like, my son needs this experience.
Okay.
And so now because of that, I became a more intimidating foe, right? I became and that's a part of me now.
Got it.
And that shaped a lot of things in my life, but never.
But that wasn't her.
But it is, because she, in her mind, I know that I've come against these things and they made me feel uncomfortable. I wish I had this in my life.
Okay.
Because her experience is different scenario, situationally. But because of how she thought, my son needs this because I didn't have this, or I didn't have this or this. So I want to make sure that he has, his dad's not around. I make sure he has some type of strong figure.
Okay.
I want to make sure, I don't know how to fight, but I know I've been bullied. So I need to know if he gets bullied that he can defend himself.
Got it.
All these things from her experience that she has.
Then fuel these other things.
Yeah, fuels these other things. And then those things make me different, because now I have more confidence, or, now I know, or I say, I wish a motherfucker would, because it's about to go down,
Right,
if I need to. And that changes who I am. But that never would be me now if I think about all those times. I did very well in karate. I did very well in taekwondo. I did very well in kempo. Like, all of those experiences, but they also shaped me and made me a stronger person at that time when I really needed it.
Yeah.
Made me a focused person when I was dealing with the chaos at home.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it shaped who I am and made me who I am today. I would never be who I am today had I not had those experiences. I would never have had those experiences had my mom not felt how she felt, right? And put me through all of that to make me who I am. So even though I went on my own journey, I won my own trophies, I knocked some motherfuckers out on my own, good or bad, all of that stinted from her experience.
I got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be who I am without that. So that's why I say for me it's hard, because everything that I am, everything that I learn, there's people say, oh, you know, so much stuff is all because of them.
Okay.
You know, it's all because of them. Because without those experiences, them being who they are, them being.
But okay, so is that a negative thing for you or a positive thing for you?
Both. And that's where I struggle.
Okay.
Right? Because for the people, first of all, I don't like to be praised. This is not my thing, right? But for the people that praise the things that I do.
Where did that come from? Who did that come from?
Both.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and those are those things like I was just taught to be a certain way. I was taught to work a certain way. You know, I was taught to carry myself a certain way. I was taught to learn, you know, whatever. And that's mainly from my mom, right? My mom did a lot of the teaching. My dad did a lot of the visual, don't do this.
I got it.
Whether he was there or not.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
Even in his absence, there's lessons learned.
Yeah. I got those.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's good and bad because those situations are not always positive, right? You know, learning to internalize is not a healthy thing.
But today,
you know,
for you, is that so? Having seen maybe a negative situation, right? That now your mom needing to defend herself, not being able to a certain extent, but then creating the opportunity for you to be able to defend yourself. Do you see that as a positive thing now in yours that was a negative thing for her?
I mean, it breaks down to situational, right? And that's the thing where I struggle a lot of the times is it's all situational because, you know, if you say, we talk about just that specific situation, being able to defend myself, right? Yes, is a good thing. I think everybody should be able to feel confident, feel that they can handle a situation if something pops off, whatever, right? I do feel that is a good thing. I also feel it is a bad thing because then it makes me that goes into two different situations. So the first part about me that I feel is bad, and it stems from, I mean, I guess it's not bad, depends on how you look at it, right? But it has turned me into the person, and I've always been to the person to run into the problem, right?
Okay.
Let's say like if there's, I hate to say this because this is terrible, right? Someone just starts shooting, right? There's panic. I'm the guy running to the gunshots now.
Didn't know that guy.
Right.
I didn't know you were that guy.
So I've always been, right? And I've always been, if there's a situation, I'm going to go, right? And then I put myself above everybody else. Some people say that as being a great thing and that comes from like, right, my mom losing that person, that someone not being there in that situation, or my dad out of his mind swinging. Now you got to be the defender. You got to be, you got to run the problem, right? So I've been that person. I'm always that person. You know, I use an example, there's like times when we were at the grocery together, and there was a situation where this chick dropped a glass bottle of Perrier that was combusted, and when it broke, it was like a bomb, and it put shards of glass and everything in her leg, like cut through the jeans and everything, right? Everybody's panicking while this person's bleeding out.
Right.
Now the person no gloves, no
glove,
nothing. It doesn't matter if she has something. No, I'm going to take care of the situation.
Yeah.
And that could put me at risk.
Got it.
But that's just always the type of person that I've been, right? If there's a situation that's going down and you need someone that's going to have a level head and not panic, that's always been me.
Okay.
And that can be a bad thing, right? Because you're acting in selflessness, but at the same time you're putting yourself in harm's way of whatever.
Do you see that as
on.
What do you see that at?
I mean,
like, what end of the spectrum is that on?
It could be. It depends on who's looking at it.
What you
Right.
looking at it? What do you say it is?
I think it's both. It's
Okay.
good and bad, right? It's good because you can really help someone. You can stop a situation. You can be whatever the situation is, but also it's bad because there are people outside of that current situation that either rely on you or need you or depend on you, and you could take yourself away from all of that for someone you don't even know.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't know,
I got
right?
it.
So I don't know, but then there's the good and bad in that, right? But then at the same time, even outside of that, you know, the hot-headed portion is also a negative because now I'm mad and I can act out and inflict more damage because the temper's taken over just because I know I can. Right? And that's not a good thing at all. Right?
Yeah.
So it really just depends. Like, and you know, at the end of the day, you know me, there's no black or white answer with me.
Yeah, right.
It's gonna be.
It's gonna keep moving.
Yeah.
The only thing, the thing that I see, because we talked about in a previous one about balance, right? About getting to that kind of middle level, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think one of the things that even with this is that there has to be a balance in it, because I don't know that. Yeah, I see where you're coming from with, you know, you being a kind of conglomerate of the two, right? That the experiences that they've had have made you who you are, or created a scenario that then caused you to be this, right?
Right.
So yes, but once we are at this age, then I think we take full responsibility for no longer it being them, but being fully us.
I mean, I don't know, but so that's where science comes in, right? I'm not a scientist, don't get me wrong, but they talk about the most influential times of a child, right? They talk about the development, when the development years happen, and there comes a point where that development stops, right? Like there comes a point where you get formed, you're this person, and yes, you can still
the sponge
pick
is
whatever,
soaked up
but
as much as
you're
you go.
old,
Yeah.
you're like that's that person, right?
Right.
And the majority of those years are, if you're fortunate enough, with your parents. So wouldn't that by logic then mean that you are, I don't know, you are them? Like once you hit that formative time, and then now that frontal lobe or whatever it is now officially formed, you're generally still with them.
Yeah.
So you're picking up
All of your mannerisms, all of
that
your
is there.
speech, your all
and
of those kind
while
of
your life may be different, you're still gonna have those same manners, right? Like you say, you're still gonna laugh like your dad. You're still gonna have like that's him.
But I think
you
that
know?
at the end of the day, though, you do come with a new package. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you're getting a piece from over here and a piece from over here, and they're completely two different people, right? And so at the end of the day, it's still, even though this influenced you to do that, and that influenced you to do that, and their conversation is now your conversation, you know, there's probably instances in it where you act like your mom, but you say it like your dad, or whatever it is. That's still one unique person that is now taking these two things and brought them into one, right? And so
Yeah.
for me, it is the answer still is yes to the both, because now, yes, they've definitely molded me. Those early years were definitely part of the thing. I love fishing because my dad loved fishing, right? Because he loved fishing so much, he would take me fishing, right? And so because I fell in love with it, because he was in love with it, it was something that was just natural for me, right?
Right, yeah,
And so now I find safety in that is because he showed me how to do that early on, right? Now, there's some things that my dad showed me how to do that wasn't the best either, right? And so That's I have some natural responses to those too. But at the end of the day, I still also have the same thing on this side of the family with my mom, right? One of the things that is even with my own kid, right, is my mother's side of the family is very affectionate. Very affectionate. You know, they'll kiss you in the mouth. It's affectionate.
Right.
And there's nothing kind of wrong with them in that, right? They're going to give you a big hug. They're going to hold you tight, you know, and that's them, right?
Yeah.
On my dad's side of the family, not as much, right? And so, and then on my wife's side of the family, not even less, right? And so my son now has this crazy mix of, you know, affection, no affection, right?
Yeah.
And so, but at the end of the day, he still has to choose. He still has the ability to choose who he is and who he's not in that regard.
Yeah.
His balance is going to be different probably than mine in that regard.
Yeah. Or just be fucked up and just be like, hey. Just
But all of it's not bad, right? Because we're driven. I think, you know, at the end of the day, there has to be some, even though your mom's response to the karate was from a negative experience, it still created a positive experience for you. Sometimes, but I believe more so than not, you have a confidence, right? And it may have even contributed to your fight or flight response, right? It's because I knew how to defend myself, so I don't have to run like everybody else when it comes down to it. So that could be a positive, and I think we have to start seeing more so than knowing that we are a mesh of it. I think we also have to see the positives even through some of the negatives that they gave us.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I mean, it does make sense. It fully makes sense, right? Right. And that's where my growth still needs to come in, you know.
Because do you see it all as negative?
I see everything as negative.
I know you do, but I'm just saying in that regard, is that
it doesn't matter.
Is there nothing outside of that?
What you give me is going to be a negative.
I mean, I know
negative
that, but
associated with it, right? And that's where I need to get better. And that's why we have these conversations, right? And that's where people that's out here that are listening are.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, able to do that. Is that, I mean, I have a very hard time disassociating, you know, things and peeling away the negative and just seeing that, hey, this is the positive aspect of it. Like I would say, besides me being not, it's weird. Oh, I don't want to say I'm not patient, because I'm patient. I'm very patient in certain things. Or
we talked about
I'm
patience.
Very scared in a lot of ways. I don't know, but I am a very negative person. Everything is based off of all the wrong things that can happen.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Well, all of these wrong things can happen.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't care about the one good possibility, because good is good, but I need to prepare for all of these.
That's our defense mechanism.
Negative. All of them. All of them.
Yeah.
But this could happen, and this could happen, and this could happen, and this could happen. And they say, well, they might not, but they might.
But they might. And that's a full-on defense mechanism, because you don't want to be surprised.
No.
You don't like surprises. So
I hate surprises.
Not liking surprises, I have to think through all of the negatives
Everything
that could come to me, because I want to be prepared. I have to be able to defend myself when the negative thing comes. Right. And here we are at the table. We got we need to paint the thing red, right?
and get sued or slapped.
One of the negatives.
One of the negatives, exactly. Get sued or slapped. One of the two. You know.
But yeah, we put those things out, because then that's how we defend, you know, our disappointments. That's how we defend our thought process. That's how we defend our physical selves. Is I have to always prepare with what is the worst negatives that I'm going to encounter, right? And if I put those out there, then I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But sometimes we invite them into the situation when they're not there, because how else will it work?
Yeah.
There can't be any good that's going to come out of this. So I'm going to create this situation, and I'll frustrate it to a certain extent so that I can say, see, I told you I was right.
Right. Told y'all motherfuckers was going to happen, but y'all don't listen. I mean, you're right. That is there. And I will also say that one of the things that I do, and I realize that I do, is I make myself suffer I put myself
unnecessarily.
Yeah.
I
do it on purpose. Subconsciously, I do it on purpose, right? I think I'm trying to explain this, but I talked about this in a previous episode. I can't remember which one. This is why we need everybody to like, comment, share, and subscribe so that we can grow the show to make better content for you, but also be able to afford a person like a Jamie to have this stuff on deck so we can reference back to it, link of the episode or whatever, because I don't remember. But I talked about Yellow Wolf and some of his music that he made, and like he has a line in one of his songs, right, where he's just like, he was saying more or less that the more he feels at home, the further he is away, right? And it's just a distance, and that is kind of how I feel in a lot of ways. Like I feel, and some of it is because of how things have happened in the past, growing up, interactions with family or lack thereof or whatever. And I feel that I deserve a level of suffering, right? And while it sucks to suffer, there's also comfort in the suffering because I feel I deserve that, right? So it's like, I'm getting what I deserve. This is where I should be. And there's comfort in getting what? Based on my mind. And that's where, like I said, mental health, how you feel, everything else, that's what I feel. Anything good is uncomfortable because it doesn't feel right. Suffering,
because you don't feel like you deserve that.
Suffering feels right.
Suffering feels right.
Right? Jesus. And so for me, I find myself, whether it's relationship or work or whatever, seeking out whatever is going to make me suffer, because that's where I find peace and comfort.
Suffering feels right.
It's not healthy, but it's where I'm at. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way.
Okay, so let me flip that book, right? Because you said it's not healthy. But you're doing more than surviving.
Maybe it depends on who you ask, right?
I'm just gonna ask me. So because I'm gonna use my own scenario. I'm gonna just say this. This is not a question. This is more of a statement. You're doing more than surviving. So the suffering isn't negative in all aspects.
No. I mean,
because there's some success, right? Whether you acknowledge it or not, there's some success even in places where you hate it, right? Even in jobs that you've hated, there was always success, right? Even in friendships that you push away, there's still some success, right? Even when you try to, some people just say, whatever, Shepherd, I don't care, and they still show up, right? So there's still some success, right? In just your life in general, just us sitting here and having this conversation in the way that we're having it, this is a success, right? Because we could have not done it at all. We could have allowed the negative things to deteriorate or keep us in a place where we never did it, right? So there's some success here. And I'm just, for me, I don't know that all of we can give so much attention to the failure and not see the success that has come from the failure.
No, for sure. I mean, that's definitely it. And I think that that's something that people need to grasp too. But that may be the difference between why it's you and not just them, right? Because even though there was some significant failures, right? And they didn't make it to a certain place, you've taken even all of that as the baggage that was handed to you, right? Negative, positive, indifferent, all of that baggage that was handed to you, however it was given to you, you've used it even through suffering to create a positive response in some areas. Not all of them,
because you just don't see it.
Yeah.
But some of them have created some positive responses, even if it is this, I'm gonna fight. I'm not gonna be the one that fights. I'm gonna be the one that fights. If it's gonna be, if in a crazy situation, I can see through the muck and I can get to the situation. I can run to it instead of run from it. Those are things that are gonna be positive, because maybe you are the person that's supposed to stay and bandage the chick up, you know, after the glass is torn her leg up, right? Because had you not been there, it could have been a completely different situation.
Yeah. No. I mean, I agree with that. But it's just no. So,
and you may not see it as positive.
No.
But
It's not that. I agree with that fully. But then now, man, that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, I got it.
Because that spins off on a whole.
Right. It goes in a whole lot of different ways. I had to try to corral it. You know, I'm thinking through it in my mind as I'm talking, and just trying to corral it in a way.
Yeah.
For us to see it as a.
Well, for us,
the
but
negative still
you know,
creates
everybody
a
out there. Hopefully, the negative can still create the
Right.
positive for a lot of people out there as well, man. And I don't know. I like that. We're gonna have to circle back to this.
Yeah, we'll come back to this.
We'll come back to a whole.
Yeah,
and go
we got to do
there.
that.
But yeah, let's exit on that one, man.
Okay.
I like
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? Hopefully you enjoyed the show. We appreciate you listening for sure. But we need your help.
Yeah, we need your help. We need you to like, comment, and subscribe so that we can continue to make great content for you guys.
Yeah. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe.
And it's right here on the screen. Everything you need.
Right there. Thank you so much, guys, for listening.
All right, take care.